So as we discussed in the last session, an impulse wave can have two types. We can have either an extended impulse wave or we can have a truncated impulse wave. So in this session we are going to look at both of these types, and first we will have a look at the extended wave. And an extended wave, as per definition, is nothing but an elongated wave. Elongated wave means a wave that has gone or traveled more distance than usual. And obviously we are going to now look at the practical example, and once again for this example I have the chart of S&P 500. The data is from around 1980s till 2001 levels, and we have already done the marking in our previous sessions, or numbering so to speak. And let's just have a look at more of the theoretical concept of extended waves. So extended waves generally occur in the third wave position and the fifth wave position. Most commonly in the third wave position in stocks, and most commonly in the fifth wave position in commodities. Okay, so but you can also see an extended wave in both third and fifth waves sometimes, and most rarely, or the most rare kind of or the place of occurrence for an extended wave is the first wave. These are the rarest. So as I just said, that stocks generally tend to show an extended wave in the third position or third wave position. We will have a look at the phenomena right now on this chart of S&P 500. Before having a look at this phenomena, we will first understand the concept that how will we determine that the third wave is extended. So to determine that, we will simply use the Fibonacci trend based extension tool. Let's just first understand the concept on the free area. Okay, let me just delete it. So now in the free area we will understand that how will this tool help us and what is the fact that we are looking for. So first of all, the concept is that if the first wave's length is taken and the Fibonacci extension of that length is projected from the starting of the third wave, then if that length exceeds 1.618 times level, then we have extended third. Now obviously it is not a clear concept as I am just speaking it and you can't see anything, so I will just simply explain it first using two lines. Say for example, this is the length of wave 1 and this is the length of wave 3. Okay, so what this Fib based extension tool is helping us do is, it is first calculating the length of wave 1. See, I have placed it on the starting point of wave 1, then I have placed it on the ending point of wave 1. Now it has calculated the length of wave 1, it has multiplied this length to the Fibonacci ratios, and now we will project this length or the Fibonacci ratios from the starting point of wave 3. Okay, once again I would like to explain that we have first calculated this length, multiply it with Fib ratios or multiples, whatever you would like to say, and these ratios are then projected from the starting point of wave 3 or this point. So what we are getting is this, the length of wave 1 multiplied by 0.236 is this much, or this much to be precise. Then again we get the length of wave 1 multiplied by 0.382 would be this much, and again we will get the length of wave 1 multiplied by 1 would be this much, and then length of wave 1 multiplied by 1.618 would be this much. And if this ratio when projected from if this ratio is used to determine the length of wave 1 and projected from starting point of wave 3 and the 1.618 mark is crossed, then we will say that wave 3 is extended. So this is the general fact that we use to determine an extended wave. Once again I repeat, we have calculated the length of first wave, we have multiplied that length with the Fibonacci ratios, and then we have projected those ratios from the starting point of wave 3. And if the mark of 1.618 is crossed, then we come around and say that the wave 3 is extended. So this is the concept here. and let's just apply it on the chart and see on the S&P 500 chart. So we will select the fib based trend extension tool, start from the starting point of wave 1 to the ending point of wave 1, projected from the starting point of wave 3. Let me just get till there, and now we will look at the 1.618 mark, which is over here, and obviously this is crossed. Since 1.618 mark is crossed, we will say that wave 3 is an extended wave. So now that we have understood the fact that how we can calculate the third wave extension using Fibonacci ratios, and one thing I would like to point out here is that we will do more in-depth discussion on these Fibonacci ratios and Fibonacci tools of retracement and extension. Here I have just simply introduced them so that we can understand this concept of extension right now, or extended third wave and fifth wave right now, and later on we will do much more discussion on that. So now the point that comes to mind is that why are we doing this? That is, why are we determining that is the third wave extended or not? Obviously there has to be a practical application of this fact. So now we'll move to the practical part. So the practical part says that there is something called the rule of or guideline of equality. So what that says is that if the wave 3 is extended in a progression, let me do a rough progression here. So what that says is that if wave 3 is extended, then wave 1 and wave 5 tend to be approximately of the same length. So what that means is that the length of wave 1 and wave 5 is generally found to be equal. So obviously this is not a hard and fast rule, and wave 5 can still be of a much greater length than wave 1. But what this helps us do in practice is that we can determine the target or possible targets for the fifth wave. So what we will do in the case scenario where, let's say we were analyzing the chart only till this level we knew the data, and we figured out that wave 3 is an extended wave. So what we would expect that is at least wave 5 will go till this much length, and we will produce or project this much length from the starting point of wave 5. And let's say this much length was, or the length of wave 1 came up till here. So this level of 1250 or 1300, whatever that is, would be our target 1, or the initial target that we would expect wave 5 to achieve. So in practice it is helping us determine targets for fifth wave. So what we discussed till now is that how to determine if the third wave is extended, and what is the practical application that it helps us determine that the fifth wave is the initial target, what it can be, or the possible target for the fifth wave.